So people complain about comments all the time on YouTube, and I actually don't do this very often because I think my comment section is kind of unique. Most of the people in it are very intelligent, they know a lot about the game, they're polite, or they'll give good feedback. If there's something they want to address, they'll leave constructive criticism, which is awesome, but every once in a while there'll be an interesting comment like this. So this guy is saying, I don't understand why people make and post videos when they're so far from the best method and location. The worst gear and shouldn't even be uploaded. Shake my head. Well, there's one problem with this. He's commenting on a video from 2013. Funny this comes up when I've recently been talking about older videos. This is my old Spiritual Mages guide, and this actually was the best gear back then. That's actually pretty good. There's some things people might not know, like the monk robes had the same prayer bonus as Proselyte back then. Of course, I could have used dragon boots, but they were going for so much at the time. When God of Wars was new, it was better just to sell them and lose a little strength bonus. But otherwise, yeah, that actually was the best gear back then. So that's definitely the comment of the year, in my opinion. Hello everyone, my name is AndrewAJT, and today I'm going to tell you what I would do if I was the CEO of Old School RuneScape. Now, I'm not affiliated with Jagex in any way. I've never worked for them, probably never will. That would be awesome though. But there's been a lot of talk recently about major changes coming to Old School RuneScape, and I just kind of want to give my thoughts and almost in this kind of fantasy scenario of what would I do if I was in complete control of Old School RuneScape? What changes would I make? What things would I get rid of? What things would I add? So I think there's a lot we could actually look into with this. So let's take a look at what I would do if I was the CEO of RuneScape 2007. So I would get a lot done in my first 100 days, but I know exactly what I would do on day one. I would add an optional Authenticator Delay to help account security. So this is something people have been asking for since at least 2016, and I was pretty sure that just about everyone wanted this, so I did a poll asking what do people think, and 91% of people who watch my videos say that they want an Authenticator Delay. I really don't understand why we don't have this already, because just about every week I see someone new has been hacked. I'll go on Twitter and I'll see, oh, this Iron Man just got hacked for 2 bill, or someone in the clan chat might have been hacked. And I'm not saying that it's all the fault of the account security system. People do need to be better about securing their account, and especially their email account, but an Authenticator Delay would give you such a nice time window of maybe 3 or 4 days to get your account under control before a hacker can log on to it, because right now you can be hacked in minutes if the hacker has the right information. I know it would probably increase the amount of customer support inquiries because people who forget their information would want the delay to be sped up, but if you made it an optional feature, that means that people who don't want it don't have to use it, so I really don't understand why we don't have this feature already. It's been years and we still don't have it. So let's talk about something pretty recent. This was a dev blog about new player experience and kind of just how new players get around in the game and what they learn and how they learn things about the game, because, you know, we know a ton about RuneScape. We could probably write an encyclopedia about RuneScape just based on what's in our heads, but when you start playing RuneScape for the first time, for me that was like 14 years ago, you know nothing, and it could actually be intimidating. So this blog was basically about giving new players opportunities to learn things kind of with assistance from NPCs and tasks that they could be assigned to do, things like that. And I read through this, and honestly, I don't like any of this. The only thing that I like is free-to-play agility, because if you try to play free-to-play and you have level 1 agility, it really sucks. I mean, if you wanted to add free-to-play agility and let people get like 30 agility or something, I'm fine with that, or maybe they could get higher, but the experience would be bad. But honestly, I don't like any of this, because the thing that's fun about being a new player is not knowing what to do. It's actually okay to play a game and to not know what to do. Some of my best memories playing RuneScape were when I had no idea about anything in the game. I would like discover a new town. I would walk to Falador and I'm like, wow, what is this place? This place is awesome. Or I would walk into the wilderness and I would get PK'd and I would die, and I would learn, oh shit, I probably shouldn't go there unless I'm really prepared. Even there was no wilderness ditch back then. I just kind of wandered into the wilderness and I got PK'd, but that's the way you learn. It's like trial and error. It's exploring the world. It's about learning about items and stuff. Nobody likes a game because of its tutorial. Exploration and discovery is what makes RuneScape awesome for new players. So if I was CEO, I would cancel all of this except for the free-to-play agility. What I would do to improve the free-to-play experience is I would hire a couple more full-time bot buster JMods to improve the free-to-play experience by getting rid of bots. it's a really bad experience to play a game for the first time and be surrounded by robots also playing the game. It doesn't fare well for new players. So there was a big dev blog recently about the state of PvP, and it proposed a lot of changes, but unfortunately, while most of these things were okay, it seems like they missed out on some major changes they could have implemented, and it seems like some of the changes are just really not necessary, and not many people are really asking for something like these. One example was a suggestion to buff overhead prayers from 40% damage reduction to 60%. I don't see how this would help anything. I think it would actually make things worse, because a problem with the Wilderness right now is that defense is way ahead of offense, and this would actually benefit clans as well, because clans are the ones who can get around overhead prayers by attacking you with multiple forms of combat, by following you in single combat so you can't even see what you're being attacked by to use your protection prayers. So I don't know why we would need this at all, and I would completely discard this idea. I would also make it so whoever's attacking you would be on top of the pile, so you can at least have a chance to see what you're even getting attacked by. Right now you pretty much just have to guess, which is almost impossible when there's so many people behind you. I'm not saying they should add a PGA timer, but it seems like a lot of the updates need to be focused on giving solo PKers more of a chance in PvP combat. One thing that was unbelievably left out of the PvP blog, and I would address very quickly, is the Entangle Spell. Currently it only freezes people for 7 seconds if they are praying magic, which I get that it can be less than Ice Barrage, but it also doesn't do any damage, and it also seems slower to cast and also less accurate. So I would buff Entangle immediately. I would make it freeze 15 seconds regardless of prayer, and it would deal up to 15 damage. This would still be way worse than Ice Barrage, which can hit a 30 base damage and freezes you for 20 seconds, but it would at least make it somewhat viable for solo PKers. I do like what Jagex has done in the past with Wilderness Rejuvenation, where they put activities in the Wilderness to encourage more people to go here, and I actually would make a 20-second freeze spell on the normal spellbook, but it would be the reward of a very difficult quest which takes place 100% in the Wilderness, and it would also require you to have a lot of expensive items on you while doing the quest, so this would just be yet another way to get more people into the Wilderness for a big new quest. The spell would only be usable at level 95 magic. To be fair, Mod Rock, after the dev blog was published, had a lot of questions from me and other people about the Entangle spell, and he did say I will make sure Entangle is raised as part of the discussions, which is very good. I think he also tweeted about something where you could have normal spellbooks without having so many runes in your inventory. Right now you need like 7 different runes in your inventory to use normal spells, which is crazy, and he mentioned something about condensing them, so I would definitely look into something like that as well. That is a very good idea. Speaking of defense being more powerful than offense right now, the Twisted Bulwark is way too good in the Wilderness. Someone like this can be in full Barrows armor with incredibly high defensive bonuses with the Bulwark and risk like 200k. It really makes no sense at all. I would nerf the Bulwark, or I would at least take away its magic defense to give it some sort of flaw. I would also want to hire a team of PvP specialists based on current PKers. I would hire some of the people who are really good at Last Man Standing. I would hire some of the best hybriders, some of the best solo PKers, some of the best pure PKers, and I'd want these people making decisions about the future of PvP because they are the ones that know the most about it. So on Tuesday, when I'm actually uploading this video, they made a couple changes to the PvP dev blog, which I'll go over very quickly. The Bulwark rework was added, which is very good, so I'm happy that's there now. And they also removed the overhead prayer buff idea, which is very good as well, because, I didn't really like that. I'm going to leave it in this video, though, because the other points in that section were definitely relevant. Unfortunately, Entangle was still not added to the dev blog, which is very disappointing to me. Mod Rock basically says here that they're not ruling it out for the future. It could come up in a future PvP dev blog, and they also say here that this is not the only changes they are going to make, but still, I really think it should have been one of the first changes. I would really rebalance a lot of PVM moneymakers as well. Currently in game, there's so many bosses and monsters such as Vorkath, Zulrah, Revenants, where they give you a consistent flow of alchemical drops, which is really bad in my opinion. In the old days, drops used to be rare. You would go to Bandos and make like 100k per hour on rune plate bodies and stuff, and not many big drops, but then finally you would get that big Bandos chestplate drop and it's all worth it. But unfortunately, we've seen so many monsters now that drop consistent supplies of alchemical drops, making them a consistent 2 or 3 mil per hour, which is not good. Drops should be rare. You shouldn't just be rewarded for doing the boss. You should have to get lucky as well and have to do the boss for a few hours before you really see some big results. This would definitely help GP inflation stop in the game, which I think is really becoming a huge problem. Some of the prices on items now seem way overinflated compared to what they used to be. I'm not just talking about bosses, by the way. I'm also talking about things like revenants, which by themselves seem to suck all of the life out of the wilderness and into that little cave, which is very unfortunate. Speaking of bosses, I would also add some more bosses that are not instanced or solo only, because it seems like this is the only type of boss we've been getting recently. Why can't we have more bosses that are just kind of existing on the map somewhere and you can go fight them with friends, like KBD or the God Wars bosses? Those are some of the most popular bosses in the game, and we don't get bosses like that anymore. These bosses where you fight them by yourself and in an instance just seem like some sort of simulation, and it's not as fun. I would also launch a campaign against those fringe third-party clients which are really taking the integrity away from PvP and PvM by telling you exactly where to click and switching your prayers automatically for you based on your gear. I'm sure something's being done about those already, but I would certainly double those efforts if possible. I would also aim to really crack down on private servers. I would ban anyone permanently that seems heavily involved with them, especially people who are advertising them would be banned immediately. Finally, as I've implied throughout this video, I would slow down the production of future content and I would really focus on existing content and improving the game that we already have. There seems like there's too much of a rush now for new updates, new bosses, new dungeons, where there's actually a lot of old things in the game that could be improved, and if we focused on things that way, then maybe some of these updates wouldn't come out so glitchy. A lot of updates in the past few months have been glitchy. This spellbook filtering update was very glitchy. There was an update where a twisted bow was spawning on the ground for people to pick up. There was another update where peers were getting defense XP when they shouldn't have been and it wasn't their fault. I would hire a larger QA tester team, and anyone who seems to not be doing a good job of QA testing would be held accountable. And part of the reason they might not be doing a good job is simply because they don't have enough time. So things recently where they actually had a week where there was no update is actually good, because I would rather have good updates every once in a while rather than rushed updates every week. So those are just some of the things that I would do if I was the CEO of Old School RuneScape. Of course, this video is just a hypothetical, and it wouldn't actually be as easy for Jagex to implement all these things as I'm making it sound in this video. I'm kind of playing Monday morning JMod here, and Jagex has done a nice job with a lot of things in the game as a whole. I was wrong about some things, like I didn't think mobile would be a big thing, and I was clearly wrong about that. But I'm certain at least some of these ideas could be implemented, or at least some of the ideas could be discussed further and expanded upon. But this video doesn't just have to be about me. I'm curious, what do you guys agree with in this video that I talk about? What do you disagree with, or maybe you have a slightly different opinion on something? And also, what would you do if you were the CEO of Old School RuneScape? What changes would you make? What things would you implement? I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments. So thank you all so much for watching. This video was pretty fun to make. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Definitely leave a like on this video if you want to see an Authenticator Delay come to Old School RuneScape. I really would like that for account security. You can also subscribe with bell notifications to see my new videos every Tuesday. Speaking of the Authenticator, I did make a video a while back about account security and how to maximize your account security, so I'll put that in the end screen. You can also join my clan chat, AndrewAJT62. I'll throw that on screen. Just my general hangout, everything goes type of clan. You can also join my Discord down below. Even if you can't join the clan chat, you're welcome to join that. A lot of people posting pictures of their bossing and pet drops. There's actually a guy who got a Supreme Pet on 1 kill count the other day, and he sent me this in an email and in the Discord, so congrats to that guy, that's really cool. You can follow me on Twitter down below for RuneScape updates, and I'll follow you back if you play RS. Lastly, if you want to support the channel even further, you can check out my Patreon link down below, where I offer various tiers for different levels of support. I'm also open to suggestions for new patron benefits. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.